So here's my Beck Custom 5. It's actually a prototype, and that's the difference between a prototype and and a company that just puts out stuff just because the shape looks cool. Um, I've been playing this bass for about a year and a half since I built it, and I noticed a few things that were not necessarily wrong but could be improved. Now that process has taken a year and a half. I want to see a big company put that kind of time and effort into their designs. What they do is they draw a really nice shape, and then they'll paint it and make it real shiny, and that's what they sell to their customers. And if that's the kind of customer you are, that's cool. But if you're trying to improve um, on your technique and your musicality and all that, and you're looking for an instrument that suits your needs, then this is the process you have to do. So this prototype, we wanted it to be a neck through, so it's a neck through. But when we put the top, the fingerboard is really, really close to the top. In other words, the top of the board, there's not a lot of room between here and here. Why is that important? The only way I could find out how much I needed to adjust it is by playing it every day. And some of you guys have seen my YouTube channel where I'm playing solo bass stuff, and I've done over 220 videos of me just playing. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to push myself recover from the accident I had 11 months ago, or whatever, 12 months ago. So I'm using it as therapy, and you can see the improvement in my playing. My hand is starting to come back to normal, and so is my shoulder. But at the same time, I'm trying to push this bass to its limits, meaning sound wise and playing wise. So at first it was a regular 5-string, and then I realized that I really needed instead of having the low B, I needed the high C for some chordal stuff that I was playing. So I rerouted re-slotted the nut so that instead of having a low B, I would have E, A, D, G, and high C, a really thin high C. That's why you guys sometimes you'll ask me if it's a 5-string guitar or if I'm using guitar strings, because the high one's pretty thin. It's a 30 gauge. So that was one of the problems. The other thing, I'll have to move the camera a little bit. This ramp allows for you to play a little bit faster, believe it or not, because what happens when you dig in, when you're playing like finger style, the ramp will stop your finger and it saves motion. Instead of going like all the way through the string and wasting all that motion, this stops your finger right there and you just pluck up. So it keeps it very consistent. You're not floating, you're not digging deeper into the string all the time. If you wish to dig deeper, you can move your fingers or your playing position, your attack hand closer to the fingerboard. Of course, that creates a different sound, but that's a different story. Now, I realized that when I slapped the E string, the ramp was choking the sound a little bit. So I had to notch the ramp to allow for the E string to vibrate when I slapped it. When I played it fingerstyle, it was no problem. But when I slapped it real hard, especially when I'm doing like that proggy metal slap distorted bass, it was choking the string. So I cut a notch there, a little channel, so that the string would oscillate properly. That's another thing that very few people have realized, that these ramps, they're great for playing fast with your fingers, but when you slap it, it chokes the sound. It deadens the vibration of the string. Now that's taken me a year and a half of building this bass and really trying to push it. The other thing was that because the type of wood that I used for the neck through, which is extremely heavy, I'll never do that again. I used Brazilian ironwood. And yeah, it has a certain sound, but it's not worth how heavy the bass ends up being. You can use other woods that are lighter. So that's another thing we learned from this prototype. Now, because I can't remove the tone block, which is that Brazilian ironwood, there's no way I can remove it unless I destroy the bass. I had to cut holes, weight relief holes all over it. And they're not pretty because they got, I used to put this thing on a stand and it's been all scratched up. This bass, I'm going to, probably at the beginning of the year, I'm going to sand the whole thing and refinish it once I have the final adjustments that I want to make. I also had to countersink this bridge. And this is a German bridge. It's really high quality, but the measurements were not exactly what I needed. So I had to see the difference in color. I had to notch all that. And that'll be corrected. I'll clean it up real nice. I haven't done it yet because there's still some adjustments that I want to make. So one of the adjustments that I had to make was I noticed that when I was doing like some slap grooves, like sometimes I get off time a little bit. Not on the slap, but on the pops. Like the pops would end up being a little late. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? Well, what was happening is I don't have, let me see if I can pull this up here real quick. There's not enough room for me to dig in with my index when I pop the string. I could slap on time and I'll be on time, but when I'm slapping, sometimes it slips and either I miss the note, you can't hear it. If you go back to my videos, that's why I haven't edited anything. Nothing's fixed. There's mistakes in those videos, and that's fine. That's exactly what I wanted. I want to know how I really play. I don't want to sit there and edit all my notes and pretend that I'm super clean. So with my other bass, which has a lot of room between the top of the fingerboard and the top of the body, I don't have that problem. I could really slap and pop and dig in really deep. But because this is so close, the top is so close to the fingerboard top, I have to notch this. So I'm going to have to take the router, and as brute as this sounds, I'm going to get the router and cut probably maybe 1/8 of an inch so that I can have enough room in there to get my index. So when I'm slapping, and I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you probably see it. So when I'm slapping it and I go into pop, there's enough room in there. I don't know if you can see how it's wearing out. And if you see Victor Wooten's Fodera bass, I think it was called the Imperial or something like that. Not the Yin Yang bass, but the very first Fodera he had. That bass is all worn out here. And I think it's kind of the same issue. And that bass was made back in 1982 or something like that. So there was a lot of things we were still learning about how a bass should be constructed to allow for certain techniques, right? Well, so his bass is all worn out. I don't know how deep the wear is. This one didn't get too deep, but it's hindering my playing. So as much as I hate doing this, because this is a beautiful redwood, highly flame top, super rare. At least at the time when I got it was really rare. I got it through a friend of mine. And I'm gonna have to take the router and just cut about 1/8 of an inch just so I can get my finger in there. And that's the process of building prototypes. The purple guitar, the 7-string, that took us a year. And that was 2 guys working on the design. That was Justin Harris and myself. And it took 2 years to figure it out. We had to make a bunch of body blanks and get the angle right and all that. And we're like super happy with the way they turn out. And I'm kind of doing the same thing with this design. Now, this is a single cutaway. For those who are not used to this kind of instrument, it's kind of like a Fodera Anthony Jackson type of thing, you know. There's a lot of inspiration from Carl Thompson as well, although he does his famous scroll, but Carl Thompson is definitely a big inspiration. So yeah, we go through. I'm the test pilot. I'm decent enough of a bass player to be able to push an instrument to its limits. No offensive Fender. I've owned a few Fenders from the 70s, and my Marcus Miller bass was great. But you can't really push those basses too far. You can slap, you can do some little solos, but they're limited to certain things. So I needed to build me a bass that would be that the instrument would be willing to work with me, you know? Like, if I want to play chords, it would have like a really clear voice, which this one has. It has a super clear voice when I tap. You guys can hear it. And I'm going straight into my iPhone with an iRig. So I have a full-fledged studio, and I've never used it to record my videos. This is what I use. And obviously the quality is not that great. And yet this bass sounds, most of the time, sounds really, really good. A lot of clarity when I tap. A lot, like, it speaks really clear when I play chords. And I wasn't getting that pop the way I wanted. It's because I can't dig in. So that's what we're gonna do right now. It's Sunday. I'm still working. I've been working all day. I had a couple of visitors over at the shop, and I'm super behind. There's friends of mine that are waiting for their guitars, and we'll get to them. We work on everybody's guitar. We're just trying to catch up here. And for those who are placing or wanting to place a new order, I got to be super transparent. I'm working on a new order and an old order at the same time, because I got to get the older ones out, the ones that have been sitting at the shop for a while. So yeah, right now guitars are taking a little bit longer, but I'm working on them. I'm back at work. I'm working on Sundays. Right now it's Sunday. It's 6:30 p.m. my time, and I'm still working. So yeah, let's see how this turns out. I'm not even sure how I'm gonna do it. I mean, I know the process, but I don't know what design I'm gonna make or where I need to have my fingers, all that jazz. Cool. This is a Beck. This is not an Exotica. This is a Beck. They're a little more intricate, and that's why I've taken a year and a half to develop this prototype. So when I make you one, it'll be perfect. Yeah, like, I'm always available. If you follow me, I'll follow you back. If you shoot me a text message and wanna chat or wanna ask questions, I'm always available. I make time to talk to people. So cool. I thank everybody, because I've gotten a lot of support from a lot of the TikTok users. Not as much on YouTube, but my TikTok friends, I consider my friends. They're all super cool people, and yeah, I wanna stay in touch with all of you guys.